afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, Crystal, and this is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown podcast. I am in my apartment up in Duluth, and over Facebook chat, I have the wonderful and talented Minneapolis artist, Samantha Grimes. Hello.
Hello.
This is our second take. That's okay, though.
Yes, we are very, I don't know, what's the word, flexible, right?
Yes.
In this time, this pandemic.
Exactly. Flexibility is what is needed. So, Samantha, you actually ended up reaching out to me on the Facebook page, the Minnesota Binders Facebook page. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you get started? How did you get connected?
Sure. So I actually have a very good friend that invited me to join the group a few years ago by the name of Charisse Germain, and she invited me as this was a resource that was for, Minnesota musicians to connect and to collaborate or, discuss anything kind of relating to what we're trying to do out there. And since then, it's been a tremendous kind of gathering place for all sorts of souls out there in the music world. So it's been a gift to me, honestly. And especially, I've been able to reach out and talk to wonderful folks just like you. And I'm so glad that you're taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, of course. Samantha, I need to thank you. Thank you so much. I know you've got a daughter and her friend is over, so I'll try to keep this fairly short so you can attend to them as well. Like I said, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me and the wider world about your music. How did you get started?
I was 5 years old. My father was a DJ way back in the 70s, and my mom was a bar singer, and music was always part of our house. And when I was little, my dad would bring home, the second copies they'd get of albums at the radio station, and he had brought home Hotel California from the Eagles, and I fell in love. I knew I was going to be a rock star someday, and you couldn't pry me away from a guitar at that age. And ever since then, I've been songwriting and playing and in one band or another since, now it's going on, 25 almost years.
Wow, so you've made quite an impressive career out of music.
Something like that, yeah. It kind of goes between passion and obsession, depending on what phase I am in my life.
For sure. I've heard that from a lot of artists, too. So, excellent. Let's talk a little bit about kind of taking those steps in learning guitar and learning vocals and things like that. Did your folks buy you guitar lessons? Did you teach yourself? How did that come about?
No, it's funny, actually. So my style, when I was little, the guitar was too big for me. And so I put it on my lap, and I'm a left-handed person. I had no idea how you were supposed to hold a guitar. I had never really seen anything. And so I was holding a normal right-handed guitar on my lap. And then as I got older, I moved it up, but I was playing it in basically what you would see now as a left-handed fashion, except I never restrung or had anything like that. So I play left-handed and upside down, and I was unable to get lessons due to that fact. Although a couple of people had tried, which was, quite a blessing, but in the grand scheme of things, it was a lot of on my own.
Excellent. Wonderful. So pretty much self-taught then. Is that the same with lyrically and singing?
Yeah, I guess I always kind of had a voice thanks to my mom, and it developed, when I was younger. Obviously, before puberty, it was obnoxious, high-pitched squealing. And as I got older, the voice kind of developed, which has been cool. It's everywhere from, subtle and kind of whispery to we've got a pretty good dynamic with some of our more rock-type music. And, yeah, with lyrics, I was always, I was always a writer, and lyrics always come easy. That's how I know I've got a good song on my hands, is if it just comes out and it doesn't take too long or too much to focus upon. That's kind of how I know I've got something worth continuing on with.
Right. Wonderful. So now you are down in Minneapolis right now. Did you grow up there? Did you move to Minneapolis?
Yeah. So actually, I grew up in Forest Lake. I was born in St. Paul, and then moved to Minneapolis. And actually, right now, I'm over in Wisconsin at the moment. That's where my homestead is, but I'm based mostly out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. That's where the music scene is vibrant, and it's hard to stay away. And find myself always, if I'm scanning through looking for places to play, albeit, the pandemic has kind of made that quite difficult, but my heart's in the cities.
And Minneapolis has such a vibrant music scene down there, and, well, just an art scene in general. I mean, between all the different theaters that they have and all the different venues, and yes, it's a wonderful scene down there. When you kind of got your start, was it difficult to break into the Minneapolis scene, or did you kind of find it really welcoming?
You're right, it was difficult. More so difficult because I think people, female and those that identify as female, it's hard to break into that when you don't have a manager or representation that can kind of get you in. It was a lot of banging on doors and emails, and back in the day, a lot of AOL instant messengers and trying to kind of prove that, I belonged there. And it got easier. I mean, you make connections, you meet people. I fell in love. My favorite place to play is the Fine Line Music Cafe, and the people that worked there were always so welcoming and so willing to, make it an entire experience. And that's why I just fell in love. And truth be told, my favorite place up there is Pizza Luce. I cannot wait to get back up there and play that little stage that they have up there. Luce is still open up there, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Thank God. All right, so if anyone's listening from Luce, please, I am down. Have us up there, because people laugh, but the acoustics in that place are phenomenal. So I'd love to get back up there.
Yes, and well, they've got an amazing sound guy as well, so that helps too.
Yes, agreed.
Yes. Samantha, I do apologize. My phone keeps going off, and I've got it turned off, but because I'm a Mac person, it's all interconnected, and yeah.
I completely understand being a Mac person as well. It's difficult, especially like when the tablet's deciding it wants to notify you of a text message. I understand.
Good. My boyfriend doesn't quite get it. He is an Android Dell kind of guy. So he doesn't understand why everything has to be connected. But honestly, most times I like it.
Yeah, I struggle with that. Like, I use GarageBand for if I need to just quick record something so I don't forget the genius of it. And then I try to export it, and it's like, it doesn't communicate with any of the Windows stuff. So I love Mac, but sometimes it's a little difficult. But you do what you got to do.
Yes, exactly. And Samantha, let's kind of segue into your process of kind of writing songs, getting songs recorded. Do you do it at a home studio? Do you do it in your house? Or do you kind of jet out to a bigger studio with a bigger sound?
It really depends on where I'm at in life. So my first EP that I released back when I was just a little youngster at 19, it was recorded in North Branch, Minnesota, by a gentleman named Tim Andrews, and he had a studio called Bimanic Productions, and just a hole in the wall. I mean, what you would imagine college students making, for a studio, and we had a ball. And then as I grew in and got more connected, I ended up recording the second EP in a studio called Pitch Blue that was actually located across the river in Osceola, Wisconsin, and working with a producer there. And then through that, I met another producer. His name is Tom Preston with Born Into Royalty, and he's probably one of the most gifted minds when it comes to mixing and hearing, parts of songs that I hear in my head. He, for some reason, can extrapolate that thought out of me, and it just comes right into the mix. And I've been very blessed in that way. So, right now we're in the process of writing new music and trying to kind of hone in on a little bit more of a grungy rock sound, which my music has always kind of waxed and waned between genres. So that's been kind of fun writing this newer style.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds exciting. And of course, you're going to make me wait to hear it, right?
Yeah, I might send you something, just a little sample so you can hear it for yourself. But yeah, I've always been an acoustic girl, but some of this newer stuff is, it still has hints of roots in it and Americana, but a little bit more attitude with it, which as I get older, I find my attitude is changing too. So it's kind of funny. Excellent,
Samantha. Have you always kind of gravitated towards the more Americana sound?
I'm not sure. I suppose when I started, it was more singer-songwriter, playing in coffee houses with girlfriends that I met down in the cities. And and in my head, it's kind of strange. I always hear what it's going to sound like produced. I've always had that, even since I was really young. I can hear every instrumentation, and I guess for me, what the magic comes is if I find musicians that can take that and run with it. And the gentleman I'm working with now, a drummer by the name of Nick Engelhart and a bass player named John Larson, they're just gifted musicians, and for some reason they have that gift as well of taking what's in my head and running with it. And we've got some really cool stuff in the works.
All right. Wonderful. I can't wait to hear it, and I can't wait to share it with the wider world. Has that been a little bit of a struggle, kind of finding people that you gel with and you can collaborate with really, really well? Or has it come kind of easy for you?
No, you have a point. Well, I'm kind of a social butterfly. I get along with anybody most of the time. I have no issues connecting with people. However, when it comes to something that's so personal as music, it is hard. It's hard to find people that are willing to accept that you've written this music, that you have an idea in your head of what it is and what it's about, and to just bring their talent to the mix while not, I don't know, I hate to say take over it, because I think it's a collaboration, but to just respect, the spirit in which it was written. And so that's always been my struggle, is to find that perfect balance. And I feel like for once I've finally found that. And I think that's why we're having so much fun and getting out there like we are.
Wonderful. That's excellent to hear. Has there ever been a time where, you wrote something, you brought it to the table, and then other people have kind of just taken over? I mean, do you kind of squash that out right away, or what's that a learning curve for you?
It honestly depends. I remember one song early on that we were recording for my first EP. I remember the producer brought in like a set of congas, and the bassist decided he was going to do it with a fretless bass versus, a normal bass that he had been playing all along. And that kind of irked me, but I was in that phase where you couldn't tell me any different. I was stubborn and young and thought I knew everything. And albeit a little bit of aggression on my part, the final product sounded amazing. And so I think at this point, and through all of those learning experiences now, I'm a little more cool-tempered, and I want to hear what you got. And if it's something that really brings a song a little bit more energy, or gives it something that maybe I missed when I was originally writing, I'm all for it now.
So it sounds like you've learned a bunch, and now you're kind of more even keel and really in that community sense now.
Oh yeah, I wholeheartedly. It's funny. I read an article about Sheryl Crow and how she was talking about when she was younger, and all the gigging and all the writing and just the attitude that comes with being a young female and out there to prove something, and how as you age you mature and you, I don't know if the term come to senses, but just kind of figure out what's really important and what's worth fighting about and what's worth not. And for me, I guess that's how I know if I've got a good song and a good track, is if I don't feel like I have to fight about it.
Wise words, very wise words. And I completely understand. I can attest to that. Back in my 20s, yeah, I'd fight, and I'd not necessarily argue, but, I'd make my point. And now in my 30s, it's just like, well, you have your point and I have mine, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And you're more amenable to the idea that people are just going to have different ideas sometimes. And I mean, I cannot stress how important that is, regardless of music world or whatever world you're in. It's something that takes time to foster, and I suppose I never understood that as a young and budding musician, and now I think it makes my style and songwriting all the more powerful.
Awesome. Samantha, let's jump back a little bit. You'd kind of alluded to that Minneapolis, their scene down there was a little difficult to jump into. It kind of sounded like, especially since you were a woman, can we go into that a little bit? I mean, were you kind of pigeonholed into this is the kind of music women play and not necessarily anything else? I mean, what was that like?
At the time when I was really getting into it, the big stuff was Regina Spektor and Tori Amos and who's the other one? It was that kind of style where, Vanessa Carlton. Women should be more pop. Women should be more cutesy is too cliche of a term, but just I think that people were expecting a different sound, and that's something that albeit I appreciate pop music and there's a lot of pop flair in what I write, it's something where I never wanted to, like you said, pigeonhole yourself into one style or one genre. And I think once I started playing and, doing shows every weekend and all that, I think it started to get out that there was somebody new on the block. And with the City Pages, I remember did a little thing about me and Dessa at the time, and talking about how women are kind of taking over the scene. And for a while that was true. And I think now all the more with this pandemic and how we've taken to live streaming and to connecting with everyone virtually, I think it's kind of our time to shine again.
Yes, definitely. And I've seen a lot more people kind of taking to, YouTube or Facebook Live or even Instagram to get their music out and get their word out. Have you done any of that yourself?
Oh, definitely. Something that I started doing, even before the pandemic, was Facebook Live. I love doing Facebook Lives, give people a kind of an idea, because when I'm songwriting, I'm usually in my basement with my piano and my guitar, and I like to show that it's not all, here's my new song, and it's perfect. I like people to know that there is effort that goes into it. And then my most recent discovery, as cheesy as this sounds, I found TikTok, and I love it. I am all over TikTok, and even my husband, he does not understand why I think it's so funny, and I don't know, I'm just glued. So I started putting my music on there, and it is surprising the number of singer-songwriters and musicians that want you to hear their music, want to hear your music, but B, are open to collaboration. I met somebody that just asked me if they could send a bass line that they heard in one of my songs, and from there it triggered, writing a little bit more with this person. And so it's one of those things, when the technology is there, I appreciate it. I love it.
Yes, and when the technology works, right?
Yes, also very important. You are correct.
Yes. Unlike our little stumble earlier before this got underway, but like I said, that's how you know it's authentic, and thank you for being flexible.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's so important to know that everybody's being real out there, and especially with this technology. I mean, being able to do this over the phone is pretty cool and old school.
Yes.
Yeah, and back to live streaming. It's funny how I got connected, and I have a show booked with a venue in Minneapolis called the Way Station, and it's a studio, and they live stream. They have a full camera production and tracks for all the instrumentation, and then they put that out on Facebook Live and YouTube Live and several other outlets. And it's kind of cool how all of us have adapted to bringing our music in different ways now.
That's wonderful, Samantha. That's really cool. I have heard of the Way Station before, so that's awesome. When is that going to take place?
That is February 27th at 8 p.m. So I'm excited. It's going to feel so good to play in a place that is not our rehearsal space.
Yes, excellent. So it kind of sounds like you've got some music in the works. Can we touch on that a little bit?
Of course, yeah. I've got, probably about 4 new completely finished written, and currently with demos for the tracks, but they're finished songs, and they have a cool new sound to them. I'll send you a couple so you can kind of hear what we're doing, but
Wonderful.
You can find on my YouTube, there's a track called Black Eyeliner, and I've actually been approached by a couple of producers outside the tri-state area that are looking for a little more commercial flair to it, so I think we might have a chance to do something with that song in particular, so I'm stoked.
Yes, that's really exciting. That's fabulous. Totally lost my train of thought because my coffee cup's right in front of me. I'm like, I should take a sip of coffee, but...
You're lucky. My coffee ran out, and I have not purchased more Keurig K-Cups, so I'm in dire need. So you enjoy your coffee for me.
Oh, no. I will. You had mentioned earlier that you've been in the music scene and the music business, it sounds like, for 25 years. That is quite a career move. Has that always been your career?
Oh gosh, no. I have a day job like most grown-ups. I run a car dealership, and that sounds really lame, and I know everybody's like, gosh, I hate car salespeople, but I fell in love with it when I was in my early 20s, and now that's what I do for my day-to-day life. And I went back to school. I'm graduating with my master's in May, so I'm kind of excited. That's the boring side of me, but the side that pays the bills and pays for my guitars and my recording stuff, it's just, you got to find that balance. But I love it.
Well, congratulations, a master's. That's amazing. I've thought off and on about going back and getting my master's, but I also work at a car dealership too, which is actually where I'm headed after this.
No way.
Yes, way.
I'll ask you after, so you're not broadcasting like your personal life in the world.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter.
Gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I am the media director at Kia of Duluth, up here
oh my gosh.
Duluth, Minnesota. Yeah. So what do you do in the car world?
I am a general manager of a small service and sales center.
Wow.
I started off, doing delivery for vehicles where you teach people how to use their Bluetooth and explain their drivetrain warranties and stuff. And from there, I went to sales, and then sales manager, internet manager, BDC directors, all that kind of stuff. And now I get the joy of seeing both sides of the world, the service side too. So it's a hoot.
Yes, it is. There's never a dull moment.
Gosh, no, there's not.
So you and I could probably talk about the car business here for another 2 hours.
I think we just became best friends, yes.
Yes, definitely. Friend me on Facebook.
I will.
Excellent. That's really cool. I don't think it, I've interviewed quite a few musicians, but I don't think I've ever met a musician that had kind of such an opposite role in their life.
Oh, yes.
Most musicians, I work at a coffee shop, or I, do something else. That's really interesting that you have kind of that different perspective on both ends. Do you ever find those two lives crossing each other?
Oh, it's funny. I was voted 2020 our Best of the River Valley. It's a contest that goes on in, from Taylor's Falls all the way on down to like River Falls for all the local media. And I was voted best local vocalist and best local musician or band. And it's up in my work because my work was voted for one of the best service repair centers. And so everyone comes in and they're like, "Are you that girl that sings?" "Yes, I am. Thank you."
Well, that's one way to get the word out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and then it's funny, in my past life, I also used to kind of, we'll say semi-professionally, raced mountain bikes, and I raced for Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that was my thing. I always sang when I was racing, and people would just get so annoyed, but that was also the way they knew I was a singer.
You raced mountain bikes?
Oh, yeah, I'm a big fan up there by you guys. Mont de Lac was one of my favorites. Spirit has a really impressive and difficult single-track course. I've always, if I'm going somewhere, it's Duluth. Duluth or Hayward. That's where the Mecca is, but I still love it to this day. I mean, I'm surrounded right now as we talk by about 8 bikes, so.
Samantha, you're just getting more and more interesting the more I talk to you.
I like to have fun. I think I think people should be diverse, and I think you should chase your passions. And if you've got something that doesn't really make your heart full and happy, then maybe you need a different passion. I've just been blessed to find out what mine were, at a young age. Right.
And, to that note, I've heard so many times that, societally it feels like you gotta figure out what your life is going to be and what your passions are at a young age. But honestly, you don't necessarily have to. I mean, it's a journey, and it's always progressing forward. So very cool that you found several of your passions at a young age, but it sounds like in the professional realm, moving forward with the whole car dealership and getting your master's as well. That's really cool and very inspiring to hear.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, no, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's having a daughter myself and wanting her to feel the same freedom of going after things that, make you happy. And I wanted her to see that you could chase something. Like I love my music, and she knows nights that I have band practice, and that's important to me, and I don't want to miss it. But also that it's important to foster your education, foster, these other passions that people might not necessarily appreciate. I want her to know that that's part of life and that she needs to embrace it. And I think I've been pretty fortunate, although she doesn't seem to take to the guitar as much as I was hoping she would.
Well, true. My My mom played a little guitar too. I remember being, 5, 6, and she'd play kind of little campfire songs and stuff like that. And I've dabbled in guitar off and on since I was 16, but I never really took to it. And yeah, she's a little disappointed, but not terrible.
Oh my gosh, yeah, my parents they always loved it. They were always very supportive. I mean, I remember my father, he had passed away when I was 19, but he had a very quick and aggressive battle with cancer, and I remember I was always waiting for him to tell me to turn down my music when I would be writing and playing my electric guitar at all hours of the night, and he always let me, and I'll always remember that. Parents, they're so... I feel bad for those that don't have the support that I did with my parents. I was very lucky.
Yes, it sounds like it, and it sounds like that support and that love of art and passion and striving forward has transitioned into your life now, and it sounds like you're trying to bestow that on your daughter as well.
That's accurate. Yes, I am. Bestow I love that word. I think maybe it's the lyrical side of me, but I love language and I love words. And when people pull ones out like that, bestow, you got me. I'm hooked.
Fabulous, Samantha. Fabulous. Samantha, if somebody's interested in your music or even your bike racing, how can they get a hold of you?
Sure, you can find me. I mean, obviously, I'm on Facebook. So if you look up Samantha Grimes, you'll be able to find my music. All of my music, well, the greater majority is on YouTube, as well as Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Apple, any of the Google Play, and even Amazon, I think, has it floating around somewhere. But yeah, you can find me just about there. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. If you look me up, same words, same name, and yeah, connect. I love hearing if my music is something that you connect with. I love hearing if you think it's awful. I love hearing that it's reaching people, because when I write it, it's cathartic for me, yes, but I want it to be appreciated, and I want people to, I don't know, maybe it'll trigger something in them to do something that they're passionate about too.
Yeah. Is that the car dealership side of you that says, yes, bring on the negativity?
Oh, it's so funny. And that's a big thing that I've had to grow, is a thicker skin. Because I remember when I first started in both music and car dealership world, I had a very thin skin, and you could make me cry at the drop of a hat. And now I think I've grown to appreciate opposing views and opposing experiences. And so now, yeah, tell me if your car is acting up after I fixed it, or tell me if my music, could use some work in one style or another, or I don't care. It's just nice to hear. I love to communicate, so bring it on.
And that's why you're a musician also. It's that communication and sharing a piece of yourself with the wider world.
Oh, very much. And I think, everyone talks about that musician high, and it's so true. And I think that's why so many of us right now are turning to other means of getting our music out there, because we're missing out on the stage. It's been so hard. And I think, if you watch the Minnesota Binders page on Facebook, or there's a great number of local music pages for Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Minnesota as a whole, where you can just see that we're all feeling it. We want to get back to playing. We want to be on stage. We want to just be out there. So I'm very grateful that it seems that that's the direction we're going.
Yeah. And another question. So since we're in a global pandemic right now, what has been the hardest thing for you as a musician and, as a mother and an owner of a car dealership and things like that? What has been the most difficult during this time? Is it just, putting the brakes on going out? Or is it everything?
Much so. Yes, very much, the not going out. My husband, he has a heart condition, and so he is technically immunocompromised, and definitely we keep him safe, and he works remote and all that kind of stuff. And then when my daughter, they're left and right getting quarantined from school, it's just, I don't do well with change and chaos like that. And I miss the normalcy, and I miss going out even just to eat, and same with professionally. It's hard. I'm a handshaker and I'm a hugger. It's been very difficult to maintain social distance, despite obviously the importance of it. It's tough for me.
Yeah, ditto. Amen, sister. I am right there with you. Yes, I am a frequent audience member of music and theater and all that jazz, and yeah, it's been difficult just kind of coming home to the critters and the boyfriend, and then that's it. That's your life. And
That's your world.
yep, just kind of.
Exactly.
Although now it's winter, so it's a little easier. But
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, it
summer really hurt.
Oh, I can imagine. I'm very fortunate. Like, even I fat bike in the winter, so yeah, I can still get out there and ride and be out in the fresh air. But gosh, I can't imagine if you were really truly secluded and couldn't go anywhere. So,
Yeah. Yes. Well, Samantha, hopefully by next June, July, that's what I'm aiming for, that we can all return to normalcy, and you will come up to Duluth and share your music and experience with us.
absolutely, I would love that. And I'm gonna go on a Google stock mission and hook up with Pizza Luce and see if they're booking acts yet, because that just came to mind. Oh gosh, I would love to be back up there again. And when I come up there, you and I are gonna have to get coffee.
Yes, sounds wonderful, Samantha. Wonderful. Samantha, thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to talk with me and the wider world about your music, your fat bikes, your working at a car dealership, and everything else under the sun. Thank you so much.
Oh gosh, it was my pleasure, and it's so nice that you are taking the time to speak to, all of us musicians about this. It's just, it's great that people care about our passion, and obviously it's a passion of yours, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it, so I'm very grateful.
Yes, let's put that community out there and keep it rolling.
Amen.
All right. Samantha, thank you so much again, and keep in touch. We'll talk soon.
Will do. Thanks, you too.
Yep, bye.
All aboard at 7 a.m. Blue eyes, so tired again. Why does she do this to herself? Late nights swearing he'll stay when she's the one who's dreaming away. Why does she do this to herself? 'Cause everybody says it gets better. Nothing ever does it ever? Last call at 2:30. Pretty young thing with a star tattoo. Why does she do this to herself? Don't know where he's been, but his look is so cool it makes her hotter again. Why does she do this to herself? 'Cause everybody says it gets better. Nothing ever does it ever? She wants so badly to believe that someday she will have exactly what she needs. Nothing more and nothing less. She'll be safe and she'll be free, and she'll finally find her peace. She wants so badly to believe. Downtown, a clock strikes 3. Ain't no cabs taking fares through the city. Why does she do this to herself? Broken heel and a ripped up dress, giving it up till there's nothing else left. Why does she do this to herself? 'Cause everybody says it gets better, but nothing ever does it ever? She wants so badly to believe that someday she will have exactly what she needs. Nothing more and nothing less. She'll be safe and she'll be free, and she'll finally find her peace. She wants so badly to believe. All aboard at 7 a.m. Her blue eyes are tired again. Why does she do this to herself? A new day, a brand new start. Time beating down on a beautiful heart. Why does she do this to herself? 'Cause everybody says it gets better, but nothing ever does it ever? Everybody says it gets better. nothing ever does it ever? She wants so badly to believe that someday she will have exactly what she needs. Nothing more and nothing less. She'll be safe and she'll be free, and she'll finally find her peace. She wants so badly to believe.